What's up, guys? It's you, and welcome back to Week 3, Episode 1 of our push to rank 500 in the Ubers tier. In the last episode, which was the bonus episode, our rank ended up at 1414, which is not too great. But hopefully we can improve upon that this week. As you guys can see, I am using a sticky web Ubers team. I'll jump into the team builder real quick. And when I was testing this team, let's see if I can remember my alt name. When I was testing this team, I went 17-1, so I hope to continue the success. And hopefully the power of the nicknames will help us here. So first we have At Me Bruh, with the Mental Herb, it's our Shuckle. Sticky Web, Stealth Rock, Encore, and Gyro Ball, Max Special Defense, Max HP. And then we also have Cryogre, which is our Specs Kyogre, which benefits a lot from Sticky Web, because it doesn't have to run Scarf. And Specs Water Spout will 2-hit KO Blissey in the rain. So Water Spout, Surf, Ice Beam, and Thunder. EV spread here. And then we also have Mega Mom, which is basically Mega Kangaskhan holding Kangaskhanite. No duh, Geo. With Frustration, Sucker Punch, Fake Out, and Drain Punch. And then we have Really Kabutops, which is our Scarf Genesect with Iron Head, U-Turn, Ice Beam, and Flamethrower. EV spread here. And then we have Wiggle Wiggle, which is our Zekrom. Life Orb Zekrom also benefits from Sticky Web because it can change up moves. Bolt Strike, Volt Switch, Outrage, and Draco. And then we have a Calrissian, our Lando T, with holding the Earth Plate with Earthquake, U-Turn, Stone Edge, and Knockoff, Max Speed, Max Attack. So let's jump straight into a battle, and hopefully the ladder's not down. Ladder's not down. Tried to record yesterday and the ladder was down, so that stunk. Anyways, looking at his team, he has some form of Arceus, which is probably his defogger. He has Kyogre, he has Xerneas, Mega Gengar, Sash, lead Rayquaza maybe, and Scarf Zekrom. I'm going to lead with Shuckle, so At Me Bruh, and then I'm going to get up a Sticky Web here, and we'll see what he ends up locking himself, or not locking himself in on. We'll see what he ends up going for. The goal is basically to get a free switch into Kyogre. He ends up just switching into his Gengar, but I'm not gonna stay in here. It wouldn't be super smart of me to. I'm kind of expecting Ghost Stab here, so I'm gonna switch out into Mega Kangaskhan, and we'll see what he ends up going for. He ends up going for Sub, so he is the Paris Trapping variant. So this means I have to go for Frustration, and I'm gonna lose my Mega Kangaskhan here, which is a bit unfortunate. And this is one reason why Mega Gengar is so good, and one reason why it went to Ubers. It's not necessarily its fascinating special attack, which it has a great special attack. Don't get me wrong, it has a great special attack, but its ability to selectively come in, trap, and kill anything that it wants to is superb, and really you can't beat it. So he's going to go for Protect here, so I'm going to Perish next turn, so I know he's going to switch. The question is, what is he going to switch into? I think I'm going to go for a Drain Punch, predicting Arceus Steel, and that's what he ends up going for. So I'm going to Mega Evolve here, get the attack boost, and go for Drain Punch, which will actually get me off some solid damage off on Arceus. And then I'm going to go into Lando Calrissian, and Lando Calrissian is a great switch for me because I can just go for Earthquake. It either forces him into Rayquaza, which he goes into. So now the question is, what's he going to go for? I think I'm going to go for a Stone Edge here, and I do end up hitting it. I get some great damage off as he ends up going for an SD. So he's going to go for a E-Speed right here. I'm just going to knock off, but he ends up taking me out, which is actually a problem. But I'm going to go into At Me Bruh, and I'm going to Gyro Ball, and hopefully this is enough to take him out. He ends up going for Outrage. I hang on thanks to Sturdy. So Shuckle notching a kill right there. That's great. And now I think I have forced him into... Okay, he ends up going into Gengar, which is fine. I'm just going to get him my rocks as he ends up taking me out with the Shadow Ball. But now I think Specs Kyogre comes in and does work to his team. Because I believe I will outspeed Gengar. I believe I outspeed Gengar. So I'm going to go into Specs Kyogre. And I'm going to Water Spout, so something switches in and dies right here. Actually, he just goes for Protect to stall out a turn of rain. But something comes in and dies right here. Maybe his own Kyogre can take a hit. He's going to go for it. He's going to try it, but I end up doing about 61%. And because the Sticky Web is up, I will outspeed him to hit KO his own Kyogre. And that's essentially the strategy behind this team. It's not anything fascinating, but it's weaken opponent's wall / take out things that wall Kyogre. I still need to get Zekrom out of the way, but I think I can do that with a combination of... Okay. He goes into this thing. I'm kind of predicting the electric move because he has to go for it here, or he could potentially lose. Yeah. Okay, so he does that, which is great. I'm going to go ahead and drop a Draco. I'm kind of anticipating the switch. He goes into Xerneas, which is okay. I'm going to Bolt Strike. He probably thinks I'm Scarfed. And since I still have Genesect around, I will be able to come in and revenge this thing with Iron Head later. He ends up going for a Geomancy. That's fine. I'm going to Bolt Strike one more time. He will be able to take me out with the Moonblast, but have no fear. Really, Kabutops is here. And I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Iron Head, take this thing out. And since I'm Scarf Genesect, I will outspeed him easily, I think. It's close, but I've never actually seen Kabutops lose a speed tie. I'm going to go for the Iron Head here. I'm hoping he locks himself in on a Dragon move. He ends up going for Bolt Strike. That does a lot of damage. So essentially, I need to weaken this thing until... Flinch. Yeah! Okay, so I think that won me the match right there. Because I'll be... Oh, no, he missed. He's getting hacked out. Like, I can understand the flinch because I went for Iron Head, like, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So, like, odds are he's going to flinch at least once. I'm going to go for the Iron Head here. Hopefully he doesn't defog. He ends up flinching again. Hopefully he doesn't defog. If he defogs, I could be in trouble. He ends up going for Recover. So he's kind of asking to get flinched right here. Now, what do I do? I'm going to go for another Iron Head. I'm essentially waiting for him to knock out my Genesect here before I can come in with Kyogre and finish the game. And I'm just really... Genesect is putting in the work, essentially. That's what's going on here. He ends up Willowing, which is fine. And he's able to take me out. But that will win me the game because I'm going to be able to Water Spout everything that he has left and finish the game. So, a very good game. But... that's why Sticky Web is so good, because things like Lando can come in and wall break, things like Zekrom can come in and wall break, Genesect, okay, he's just going to end up forfeiting, but but it wouldn't have mattered, I would have still won. The hacks did help me a little bit right there, but it's not anything crazy. Alright, I probably need to enable JavaScript, this is probably on my end. But anyway, we're going to continue battling and find another match. Hopefully we can get relatively close to 1500 in this episode. Or, not 1500, top 500. I actually need to check that real quick. How close are we to top 500? Ubers. 1484. Okay. Anyway, looking at this guy's team. His defogger is either Giratina or Arceus. And he has a Deoxys Speed. So I'm going to go into Shuckle. As he leads with Giratina. I'm going to get up my Sticky Web, because that will help me a lot later in the match. He ends up going for Magic Coat Giratina. That's actually really insane. That is really insane. I did not know Giratina got Magic Coat. Jeez. Actually I can't Encore a sub. What am I doing? I'm going to set up some rocks. He ends up going for Toxic. This is fine. This is fine. You can do this, Geo. You can do this. So this is really bad for me because it essentially forces... or if he gets up a Geomancy, he wins. He's going to go for Shadow Ball here. So this is kind of a weird Giratina set, but hey, it's working. I'm not going to knock it. I'm going for Ice Beam, and that only gets damage off, so... This is bad. This is really bad. So I think I got to come in with... Zekrom, because this has pressure. The other one has left. I suppose I could go into Specs Kyogre and Ice Beam, which may end up being my best play. I'm gonna go ahead and do that because I have things to switch in his Kyogre, and Specs Ice Beam should do a lot to Giratina, even if it is physically defensive. He ends up going to his Deoxys Speed, and if this is not bulky Deoxys Speed, it is going to die. Alright, but he can outspeed me, so I'm gonna go into, or what am I expecting him to do? I'm kind of expecting him to get up rocks. Alright, we'll start with that. I'm expecting him to get up rocks, so I'm going to go into my Mega Kangaskhan here. Because Mega Kangaskhan can potentially help turn the match around, as long as I weaken/knock out Giratina. Actually, I need to completely knock out Giratina in order for Mega Kangaskhan to do work. He ends up going for T-Wave, which is just obnoxious. That's kind of annoying. I'm going to Fake Out, though. Actually, instead of doing that, I'm going to switch into Specs Ogre, because I'm kind of predicting him to go into Giratina. He ends up doing that. We'll see what Showdown told me to do. Yes, I end up getting the switch into my Kyogre, which I want. Now I can go for Ice Beam again, and Specs Ice Beam is going to hurt Giratina a lot. He ends up just sacking Deoxys Speed, which is fine by me. And this ends up giving him a switch into his Kyogre. And so my switch for that is going to be Zekrom, and then I can go for either an electric move or my Dragon Stab. We'll see what happens. But I'm going into Zekrom because Zekrom is a pretty good check to this thing. He ends up going for Thunder, which I will eat up. And I kind of want to drop a Draco, predicting Giratina. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Here comes Giratina, which is fine. We'll see how much this Draco does. Draco does 54%, so I will take that. Because he can only get that damage off, like, remove that damage by resting, which is fine. I'm going to Bolt Strike here. We'll see how much it does. It barely misses out on the KO. So he goes for Sub. He is too weak to make a Sub, meaning I'm going to be able to Bolt Strike to knock him out, and Zekrom may be able to put in some work versus the rest of his team. As long as I don't let Xerneas get a Geomancy up. If Xerneas gets a Geomancy... Actually, no. I can still do this, even if he gets a Geomancy up. Right here, though, I'm going to Volt Switch. Kind of hoping he defogs, although he's probably just going to Willow. So I'm going to go into my Mega Mom to take the Willow or the defog. Either one of them is fine by me. He ends up going for an SD, so he is a Steel-type E-killer. I'm going to go for Drain Punch, as he can just probably sweep the rest of my team with E-Speed from at this point. I need to play around with Intimidate and get some great damage off on this thing with Mega Kangaskhan's Drain Punch. Because, frankly, there's not a whole lot I can do once... Well, basically, if this team gets a Sticky Web set up against it, I lose. If they have no way to remove the Sticky Web, then I can potentially win. However, I end up getting fully parried right there, which is kind of annoying. I'm going to Drain Punch. He is able to knock me out. So I'm going to go into a Lando Calrissian here, get the Intimidate. The plan is to sack Shuckle and bring Arceus back down to normal attacking levels. Hopefully he doesn't SD here. If he SDs here, he wins. But I don't think he has much reason to, considering he could potentially lose Arceus if he Swords Dances. And actually, the more I think about it, the less I want to switch into Shuckle. Because he's not going to get Stab on He's not going to get Stab on E-Speed. He's not going to get a Life Orb or Silk Scarf boost. So, am I able to take a +1 E-Speed from Arceus Steel? That is the question. I think I'm going to Earthquake. I am able to take one. We'll see. Yes, I am able to knock Arceus Steel out. So, I'm actually really glad I ended up making that play. While it could potentially cost me the game. Actually, no. That play was in no way bad for me. Now, do I knock off or do I Earthquake? That is the question. Do I knock off or do I Earthquake? Do I sack Zekrom? No, I don't think I'm going to sack Zekrom. I'm going to knock off here. Because I get rid of his Scarf, which will help me a lot. And now his Water Spout is also severely weakened. meaning that I think I can come in with my Specs Kyogre and drop Water Spouts on him, which he probably won't appreciate that much. And unfortunately, since I'm not Scarfed, then he's going to be able to get great damage off on me with Mewtwo, but he ends up going out to Xerneas. So he's either going to Moonblast or Geomancy and try to win the game. If he Geomancies, I can... Oh, never mind. I outspeed him. He must have been running a bulkier variant of Xerneas. And looks like I may be able to take the match from this point, depending on what Mewtwo he is. I'm hoping he's X, although Mega Mewtwo X is just so uncommon. But he ends up forfeiting, which is great for me. So that means we're 2-0 with this team so far, and we're up to 14-48. So we're going to grab one more match and see how we do in this last one. Alrighty. So just kind of looking at how the team is doing so far, I think it's doing pretty well. That Magic Code Giratina really surprised me. I wasn't even remotely thinking about that because I don't think Giratina usually run Magic Coat. It's usually the Rest Hawk set with like Dragon Tail and Toxic. So, you know. But I think it shows that this team is actually kind of solid because it was able to play around the fact that even without Sticky Web, it can still win. And essentially both speed tiers were on the same level there because we both had Sticky Web on our sides of the field, on our respective sides of the field. Anyway, we get a battle here versus what looks to be Baton Pass. Because I know Drifblim gets Baton Pass, I know Sigilyph gets Baton Pass, and I know Espeon gets Baton Pass. He's for sure Mega Mawile. I think he actually just leaves, so that's cool. I was really fearing his team, although what I was probably going to do in that situation was lead Kyogre and Water Spout things until he decides to either A, sack his own Kyogre, or B, go into Mega Mawile. When he went into Mega Mawile, I would have switched to Lando and got the Intimidate off, forcing, and his Sucker Punch would have been negated, because he would have had a Sucker Punch to get off damage on Kyogre. And from that point, I could either Earthquake to clean out the rest of his team, or U-turn predicting Sigilyph or Drifblim and go back into Kyogre. So I think I actually did have that game, even though Baton Pass can get really scary if it gets out of hand. But, you know, especially when Baton Pass is this nerfed, there's not a whole lot of reason to use it. Because even if you are a master at Baton Pass, such as Dennis has even stopped using Baton Pass, which is a bit unfortunate if you ask me, because he worked so long to get that team to where it was. His Master Pass, or not Master Pass, I'm thinking of Master Class as Masterpiece, on his Genius Pass team, or Glorious Pass, whichever one. But anyway, we win that battle. We're up to 14-56, and we're going to grab one more match before we end up the episode. I was kind of intending that to be the last match, but obviously it wasn't long enough. So looking at this guy's team, probably lead Rocks Dialga, some form of support Arceus or E-Killer, Mega Gengar, Scarf Zekrom, and Geomancy Xerneas. So I got to lead with Atme Bruh, and he leads with Dialga, so we're both probably just going to exchange hazards here. I'm going to get up a Sticky Web, but I'm kind of tempted to Encore here. Okay, so he ends up going for Rocks. I was fearing Flash Cannon, so I was kind of tempted to Encore, because Encoring would have done so much damage to him, because he would have had to switch after he got up Rocks. But if there's anything I want to take a Toxic besides Genesect, it's going to be Shuckle, and I'm going to Encore him into Draco, which is fine. And then I'm going to go... What do I do here? Alright, someone's talking in chat. Alright, I'm kind of tempted to go into a Genesect here, because I don't think he's going to want to stay in. But I want a Gyro Ball just in case. He ends up staying in and dropping a Draco. At this point, with his special attack lowered, I feel comfortable switching into Genesect, because Genesect is Scarfed. It takes on anything on his team relatively well. barring Thunderous, which can T-Wave it, and that would really stink. But if I see him double out to his Thunderous here, I'm obviously just going to go back out into my Shuckle, or my Zekrom, because neither one of those can be T-Waved. So I go out and Genesect here, and he ends up dropping another Draco, which is fine. And at this point, I don't think he's going to want to stay in, so I'm going to U-turn, because it gives me good initiative and gives me some offensive momentum. But we'll see what he ends up wanting to do here. And yes, I do see I have a challenge. I just don't want to read a ton of PMs. But we'll see what this is. Okay, sorry. Actually gonna tell this guy I'm recording real quick. Hold on, I got a cough. Let me mute my mic real quick. Alrighty, sorry about that, guys. But we're gonna check for lag real quick. And he's probably considering what he wants to do here. Frankly, there's not a whole lot I can do to him. He ends up just going out into his Zekrom here, which is fine by me. I'm gonna be able to U-turn, get off some great damage, and go out into Lando Calrissian, who can threaten him out with an Earthquake. But in all honesty, I'm probably just going to U-turn here because he's not going to want to stay in versus Lando. And I don't think he's going to want to sack Zekrom this early in the match. And even with the damage that I got off with Genesect, as long as Kyogre only takes rocks damage, then I can do some great work to his team. And so just looking at what he has remaining, the things I would probably want to take an Earthquake are Mega Gengar and Thunderous. And either one of those will get hit by U-turn. He ends up going into Xerneas, which is fine, because I can go into my Genesect again and go for the Iron Head here. And this will... here, let me just... There we go. Alright, and this will be able to knock Xerneas out for sure. It's also going to do some decent damage to whatever he has left. He could sack his Zekrom right here, which might not be a terrible play on his part. Alright. Anyway, so he might just sack Zekrom here, which in all honesty may not be a terrible play, because it's already weakened to the point where it's not going to want to take Spec Surfs in the rain from Kyogre. And, yeah, so he may just sack that here. He ends up sacking Xerneas, which is fine. But looking at the rest of his team, it's actually very threatening, and he may be able to pull this match out relatively easily, because he has two things that are off the ground. Gengar before Mega Evolving, and Thunderous. Thunderous can come in and T-Wave a lot of my stuff, which will prevent it from outspeeding. He can also HP Ice my Landorus. He ends up just forfeiting though, so that's cool. And that is going to be the last match for today. If you guys did enjoy, please make sure to leave a like, as it really does help show support for the stuff that I'm doing here on the channel. Additionally, make sure to answer today's comment question of the video, which is which one of the genies is your guys' favorite? Is it Thunderous, Landorus, or Tornadus? And with that, I urge you guys to subscribe if you guys are enjoying the constant content. And with that, I'll catch you on the flip-flop.